The Colorado Avalanche have points in their first 3 games. Chris Micieli of Locked On Avalanche is here to talk about what's working and what needs to be better. All that and more next on today's Locked On NHL Podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here. Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the co-host of Locked On Avalanche, Chris Micieli. And Chris, you got to be happy with the 2-0-1 start. What's been sort of the biggest factor in winning and getting points in your first 3 games?
It's been a lot of different things, Gil. One has been goaltending, at least in the first 2 games. And it's been your backup goalie with Scott Wedgwood, because Mackenzie Blackwood, we knew that was going to be out for a few games. He's not out for a very long time. He could return Monday in Buffalo. So they knew he was going to be out for a few games. And Scott Wedgwood has come in, and those first 2 games has played exceptionally well. The 3rd game against Dallas, a little iffy in the beginning, got better as the game went on, but he's been really good. And that's the big difference between last year, how they started, and with the goaltending. But there's more energy to the team. That was a big thing last year, was their starts were very just slow and a little bit lethargic. And for a team that's built on speed, it was very weird to see so many times last year. But they're coming out of I think it's been a point of emphasis in training camp and the preseason was to start games how they were finishing them last year. And right off the bat, let's just get on teams. And you've seen it, especially in that game against Dallas. Yeah, they went into a shootout. Yeah, they lost in the shootout. They get the point. But they were far and away the better team in that game. So if that's only game 3. So if it took 3 games to shake off the rust and you look like that after 3 games, it's going to be an exciting season for the Avs.
I know he hasn't scored a point in 3 games, but how much does the presence of Gabriel Landeskog help this team be ready from the opening faceoff?
Cannot be understated what they've missed from him. And he's been around the team, obviously, when he was out for those 3 years. Maybe not so much in year 1, year 2, but year 3, he was around them a little bit more. And he went on some road trips with them. But it's different when you're in the uniform and out on the ice with them and on the bench with them. I don't care. I'm biased. He's the best captain in the league. And it just shows. And that could very well be a big reason, because he doesn't let anybody just skate by. And I don't want to say, like, because he's not there, other guys are not doing that. Like, other guys take leadership roles on the team. But it's just a different animal with Gabe Landeskog being a part of the club day in and day out, at practices, in the locker room, completely different vibe. And you get he's the calm, cool, collected, but the expectation from him is like excellence, where Nathan MacKinnon is like, he will get in your face and just call you expletives. And, they have this different ways that they do things, and they both work together. And when they were separated, you're just getting it from Nathan MacKinnon and not the other side from Gabe Landeskog. And now that everything's back in motion and everything is kumbaya right now in the locker room. So
definitely helps to have your captain back on the ice. How about the biggest offseason addition, Brent Burns? What has his impact been so far? And how much do you think he could contribute on the wrong side of 40?
He's like an extension almost, and it's weird to say that he's just got there, of Landeskog. Because we all know Brent Burns. We all love Brent Burns. Like, does anybody really hate Brent Burns? Like, you can't, right? So what he does, what he brings in the locker room is just in the locker room, it's like lighthearted, but when you're out on the ice, it's all business. It's weird. Like we're 3 games in. It's like this is like in the NFL after 2 weeks, we all want to say who's the MVP of the league. And it's like, like he's been fine. I think, he's on a new team. His game against Dallas was maybe his worst game, which was also his 1500th game. But the first 2 games, like you can see what he's so. I like watching him play because he's just he's just an imposing figure, but he's like, I don't know the word for him. He's just so sure of himself. I mean, when you've been playing the same sport for over 20 years, your skill set, what you can do. And he's just so relaxed out on the ice. Nothing really seems to get to him. And I think that that's a good learning experience for a lot of the younger guys on the Avs. So as the season goes on, and a guy that's going to be with him, Sam Alinsky, is probably going to be his pairing mate for most of the season, who's a younger guy. I think he's 26 years old, but he's a younger, and he's only been in the league for a few years. When he sees that, like you wonder how much he's going to learn from a guy that's been in the league for as long as Brent Burns has. So I think as the year goes on, his impact will be felt. I think it's impossible not to when someone's been in the league for as long as he has and plays every single game. You can rely on him for that. And for the Avalanche, that's huge because, like a lot of teams can claim this, but the Avalanche have lost so many man games to injuries over the past handful of years. To have a guy that you can rely on to be out there night in and night out is huge in and of itself.
Martin Necas, 6 points in 3 games. Talk to me about what he's been doing so far this season.
He's had a rock solid start to this year, and that's really what you wanted to see from him. He's always going to be connected to Mikko Rantanen, obviously, and there is a section of the fan base that will always be Team Mikko, and there's always be a section of the fan base that roots for Necas. And I think if he can have the season that I'm expecting him to have, I think you're going to have some of those Team Mikko people kind of moving over to all right, yep, we got a good player. But I don't think it'll matter what he does in the regular season. For those people to switch sides, he's going to have to do it in the playoffs. For them, it's just like, and he's young, but he hasn't had a ton of experience in the playoffs. He's had enough though, where you feel like, okay, you got to step it up to the next level. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But how he's started in the first 3 games is, if there was one guy that could not get off to a slow start, it was him. He had to get off to, getting pucks in the net, scoring points, getting assists, being dynamic. And he's done all of that for 3 games, because if he didn't, we'd be all sitting here like the Avalanche just made the biggest blunder ever in this trade. Some people still might think that, but if he can play the way that we're expecting him to play this year, I think put a lot of those questions, I don't want to say to bed, but maybe take a nap. We'll say that.
2-0-1, solid start. But what's your biggest concern after 3 games?
It's a concern, but it's not like a super serious one, mainly because it's carrying over from the playoffs, and it's the power play. I think they scored 1 power play goal in the preseason, and they have a couple now. They have a couple in the regular season. And again, the progression in 3 games has been what you want. Going from the first game against the Kings and against Dallas, they only scored 1, but it looked exceptional. Jake Ottinger was otherworldly in that game, and if it was any number of goalies that was not named Jake Ottinger, they would have scored on I don't want to say all of them, but the majority of those power plays, because they were everywhere. So it looks good. They have a new special teams coach and Dave Hackstall. So this is like working the kinks out stuff. And you saw it. You saw it in the game against Dallas, where it looked dynamic and it looked different and it looked good. Now the next stage is getting the pucks in the net. So we'll see if they can do that against Buffalo. I'm expecting that to turn around. They're too talented. They have too much talent on that power play 1 for it to be a year-long issue. But how I was saying how Necas needed to be that guy to get off to a hot start. You wanted the power play to do that too. It hasn't, but the Dallas game gave you some good vibes of where it's going.
All right, Chris, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you and your co-host on social media?
Yeah, we're over all social media. So on X, LOPN_Avalanche, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Blue Sky, on YouTube. Just search Locked On Avalanche or LOPN_Avalanche, and you can find us there. And then, of course, wherever you listen to the podcast, we're all over the place.
All right, Chris, thank you so much.
Anytime, Gil. Thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've been putting off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. One thing I love about Monarch Money, if you and your significant other are sharing accounts, it can help both of you stay on the same page. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL.